Namaste. Hello everyone. Welcome to Shal Gulhati, Shiva and Mysticism for another episode of Monday with Mahadev. Continuing with the Shiva files, which are stories written about my experiences on the mystical path, on the path of spirituality, and of course on the path of Mahadev. Today I am going to share with you about the great phenomena in Hinduism which is called the Guru. As we know, India is a myriad land of many wonders and many beautiful things, and we have a lot of resources. And because of our size, our population, sometimes we may be a little short of some resource or the other. But as we are proceeding in this century, we are becoming very self reliant and also helping other nations across the globe. Nevertheless, one thing that we have never been short of is the mystics, the gurus. When it comes to gurus, we can have all sorts of gurus. We can have those who are astrologers and palmists. We can have those who are simple school teachers. We can have those who are teaching us our vocation, honing our skill sets. And of course, we have spiritual gurus. And even here, we have a vast array. We have some gurus who have long hair, like Shivji, in jatas and long beards. We have some who are in white clothes. We have others who are in orange. And we have some who are in ashrams, some who are wanderers, some who have their whole head shaven. And so we have all sorts of appearances. We have all sorts of darshanas which they teach. Some teach about Lord Krishna, others teach about Durga Mata, some teach about Shiva. There are others who teach about Advaita. Advaita is the great non-dual station, which principally means pure monism, which is that there is only one principle, and that is God, and everything comes from God. We are all coming from God, and we all go back to Him, and there is nothing but God in this universe. Everything that we see is an emanation of God. So all Indian families have some kind of guru. Either there is a guru of the grandparents or the guru of the parents, or a Kula guru who has been there for generations, and his generations become your guru. Their lineage, they have gurus also have a lineage. Now, my grandmother also had a guru, and I will first show you his photograph, one that I treasure. This is the Guruji of my grandmother. His monastic name was Darshan Purna Anand. He was the fifth Padshai, the fifth seat holder of the Anandpur Advaita Ashram. And we were all very much in awe when we used to see our grandmother praying to his image in her mandir. And we always knew how to please her. Any talk of the Guruji and she would be ecstatic. And my grandfather, who was a very strict man, he was a business person, he had to be like that. We used to call him code name Big Lion, Bada Sher, and we were all scared of him. And the only time that he would smile was when grandma used to speak about Guruji. We noticed that when she speaks about her Guru, even my grandfather, the Big Lion, he smiles. And because he was my grandfather's guru as well, my grandmother had met the third Padshai, the third seat holder, and gone into that ashram. And it continued till the fifth one. And my grandfather went and had darshan of the fifth guru, which was the one I just showed you, and he was in awe of him. So we realized that the Guruji must be a big, big lion, because Big Lion is also in awe of him. And my grandmother would say, she loved him and worshipped him so much, she would say that, Beta, Guruji Bhagwan hai. My grandson, my Guruji is God incarnated. And we used to let her feel happy, and that's her way of understanding him. That was her mote with him. We were all very curious to also meet the great man, because he was not in New Delhi, where my grandparents were. He was in Gwalior, in Anandpur. And he had some other ashrams in other places, but he was not stationed in Delhi himself. So I remember very well that when I used to look at his photographs, the one I just showed you, I used to think that he is very typical of what we hear in our shastras, lotus eyes, big eyes, and beautiful lips, and very well formed face, and the whole persona was magnetic. One could not even look at the photograph without getting attracted, and I was really dying to meet him in person. So one day, my grandmother said that we will be going to visit our guru, and if you would like to come along, tell us. I was then in a boarding school and I was back home for a vacation. And when she said this, we jumped at it. And a few of the family, we went all the way to meet him in Gwalior. And when we reached the ashram, it was late at night. We were kept in a room. And then one of the sadhus, one of the monks there, he came and said, "Would you like to see Guruji's room?" Well, I thought, if I can't yet see the great man, maybe I can just see his room, and I excitedly went there. And what I still remember is that was a very simple room, very, very simple. It had just the one bed, one chair kind of stuff. And there in the corner, I saw an apparatus which was called the bullworker. A bullworker was a sort of machine, a gadget in our time for bodybuilders. You had to press the thing with the two red corners, and it took a lot of strength to press. And while we were pressing it or compressing it, we would build our muscles. So I said, "A bullworker lying in Guruji's room." So I asked the monk, I said, "Who uses that?" And he said, "Guruji, of course." So that was, I was maybe about 12 years old at that time. And so that was a kind of revelation to me that a man of spirituality, a guru, a person whom my grandmother believes is God incarnate, or at least part of God incarnate, he's using a bullworker, he's building muscles. And so that was a lot of excitement because I was in my formative years, I was in a boarding school, I also wanted to build muscles at that time, and bullworker was the in thing. So I was very happy with that discovery, and I came back to my room. And a little later, my grandmother came and she said, "We are supposed to have darshan of Guruji in the convocation in the morning, but every night before the aarti, he goes into the hall where the ladies get their meals, and he talks to them, gives them a little prasad, and that's when he meets the ladies in the evening just to make sure that their food and everything is all right. And I'm going to go there," she said, "and I'm going to meet him. Would you like to come along?" So I said, "But Badi Mummy," we used to call her Badi Mummy, the big mother. I said, "But Badi Mummy, I am a boy." So she says, "So what? I can hide you in my sari, And she literally took me like that, and we went into the hall, and there he was. My first sighting of him. We never forget our first sightings of the people whom we love, whom we respect, whom we are very fond of. In this case, whom we truly idolize. I saw him, and he was every bit, just like the picture I showed you, he was every bit what I had thought of him. I had been seeing those movies at that time, Star Wars, and we were talking about Jedis and things like that. And there he was with this, his head covered with his white shawl. And he looked exactly like a very, very powerful and at the same time a very gentle being, a great personality. And when I saw him, I kept staring, and out of the sari perhaps, so I was fully exposed by then. And he told my grandmother that you could not wait to see me. So she said, "Yes." And he said, "What is that you are hiding in your sari? Who's that? Is that a boy with you?" And I came out and I said, "Yes." And my grandmother said, "Guruji, he really wanted to meet you a lot, so he couldn't wait. So I got him here and I smuggled him in." So it was all right. It passed. And then he was a Punjabi, very staunch accent he had. And he said to me, his first words to me were, "Ke na hai tera?" What is your name? And I said, "Shailendra." And he repeated it, "Shalinder." He was literally very, very nicely built and very rustic, at the same time very handsome. And he had this sort of language in which he said, "Shalinder." ki matlab hai, what does it mean? And I told him what I had learnt, as I told you in the last video. I said it means the king of the mountains. Parvato ka Raja, I said. And it also means Shiva, Bhagwan Shiv. So he said, Kudiyan naal rahega te kudi ban jayega. In Punjabi, he said to me, if you continue to just hang around in the women's hall or disguise yourself as a woman, then a woman you shall become. I didn't know what to make of that comment. I just put on a silly smile and we had his darshan and we moved away. Now, years later, when I started my real spiritual study and I started reading about the different paths to God, the most common path, as I have told you in earlier videos, is Bhakti Marg. We pray to God as He is our God and we are His people, and so we just think of God as our idol, our Ishta, and we do Bhakti. But then there is also the Dhyan Marg, the way of the meditator, and in which the culmination point is Advaita, that you are the God you look for, you are from the same energy, you are from Chaitanyam, you are the Shiva you look for, because you all come from the same essence. This is the culmination of great bhakti also, but in Dhyan Marg, in the way of meditation, it is a very direct approach. You don't go like this, you go straight to that I am the energy that I am looking for. And if we were to talk in percentage, I think Bhakti Marg is 99% of the people, maybe a little percentage is maybe 1% or 2% is Gyan Marg, the rationalists, and the Dhyan Margis are maybe very minuscule, the genuine ones. And therefore, when the Guru decides which is your path, like if I was in a gym and the Guru had to decide, should I use the bull worker or the free weights or calisthenics or Zumba, he has to give a diksha, he has to initiate you into your path. And that is a formal thing that happens, and in my case happened later. But I realized that actually my Guru had given me the diksha by saying this. If you stay with the women, a woman you shall become. You shall be like a Bhakti Marg person who loves God, like a woman can love her husband, or like a wife can love her husband, or a daughter can love the father, and this is a Bhakti Marg. It's a beautiful marg. But you need to be a Dhyan Margi. You need to be a meditator. You need to come out of this and go into the inner world and find your Chaitanyam, find your Atma, find your Shiva Tattva from within. So I realized that actually in that one sentence, he had initiated me already into the Advaita Marg. I hope you have understood this video, enjoyed it like me. I'm sharing it with you because these are my experiences. This shows how gurus actually work in very mysterious ways. Even if they're joking with you, the joke has a very deep and profound meaning and a prophecy for you. Join me again next Monday, and I will be back with yet another Shiva wisdom for you. Om Namah Shivaya.